Welcome to conversation, Scotty. Super awesome to have you here. I've been frothing to actually have this conversation. You've actually been you're popping through for ages, and I was just like, I was funny. I had like a resistance to even reaching out, and I was like, I was looking into some Buddhist stuff around self-doubt, and it was like read it last night. It said, "Great doubt equals great enlightenment." And
Mm,
I was like, it was a Zen proverb or something. I was like, oh, it's interesting. Like, so where there is no doubt, there's no enlightenment. And
mm,
I was like, it's an interesting sort of idea around doubt because a lot of other Buddhist places want to completely eradicate it. So it's
mm.
interesting even coming to do this with you, there was a bit of doubt. I'm like, oh, how's it going to be? Because obviously we briefly talk online on
Yeah,
Instagram, but yeah, you're here. It's great. It's happening.
yeah,
So
thanks, bro. Yeah,
welcome.
it's
Welcome.
yeah, I guess we don't know anything, so this it's good to have a bit of doubt and a bit of faith. I think both are healthy in the right situation.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
bro.
just give us, want you to give a bit of brief introduction so that people know who they're listening to, what you
Yeah,
do.
easy. Well, it's hard to explain what I do, but it's easy to explain. I kind of see life through my own lens, and I guess people have found the way that I see life beneficial to them through my understanding of, I guess, the Bible, basic universal law, and a bit of a study on how the mind and the body and the spirit kind of integrate with one another. I try to put all my stuff that I've learned into one, I guess, type of method. Um, but I guess the method's quite simple. It's very like principle based living, and
Mhm.
I've been doing that for a few years now. So that's kind of what I'm on for now. That's the path I'm on for now, I guess, until life has other plans. Yeah, I'm always open to move into something else. I'm not really fixed, to be honest. So that feels good also.
Yeah, I think it's always good to be like open to the transformation of the form of what we're offering, you know.
Mm,
I think when you posted recently about being a concreter,
yeah,
it actually shocked me. I was like, holy shit, because I met so many. I used to have a lot of tradie friends, and the concreter friends they look flogged. They look
yeah,
absolutely flogged. And then when I was like, holy shit, man! Like it just shows the level of spirit that's within you, that resides within you to do such hard work in the sun and bring a lot of spirit there. Because I don't know, I know a lot of tradies, and it's like that kind of work is it's hard work, man. I did
yeah,
laboring for tradies, and well, I was doing labor in the fucking military too, but it's hard. It's hard yakka, and it can really fuck your body. And I do wonder. I'd like to hear a bit of commentary around how the mind and spirit really supports that, so the body
mm,
doesn't crumble or doesn't deteriorate. And
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, there's no way around it. Kind of like I was concreting since I think my first job. I was 17 concreting until about 30, so I probably did my 13 years straight, and then I got a modeling job and whatever. But I'm still concreting now. I had a 5 year break, but yeah, I'm probably looks good in some lighting on my videos, but I'm definitely like flogged out too. Like I'm definitely my skin looks older than 38-year-olds compared to most guys, and there's kind of no getting around the job being hard. Um, but I guess like to minimize the damage, like I've always eaten pretty well and trained and worked with my brothers who are pretty like-minded. We've always had a real clean crew, like a clean working environment. And I guess like I don't know, man, it's I don't know if it's unhealthy for a man to flog himself outdoors. I almost think I reckon my online job's more unhealthy than concreting,
yeah, I
in
mean,
my opinion.
yeah. I agree with you, bro. I think
Mm.
online is it's taxing on other levels.
Yeah.
It's very taxing on other levels. I would say in the unseen realm. Did a really good video about actually the demonic entity thing. I don't know if I want to go
Mm.
down open that door just yet, but that
Yeah.
basically touches on what forces can come through the online space is, and that's a
Mm.
different level of taxing
Mm.
the system, so to speak. But
Yeah.
I think the important part you said there was, yeah, just making sure you're eating good and tending to the garden within, I guess. It's like, oh, what do I need?
Yeah,
Um,
it's definitely like I do get why guys in trades, like I do get why guys eat shit and drink because like it's very easy for people who aren't in the job to kind of like throw their 2 cents in. But when you get up at 4:30 in the morning and you get home at 4 and you've been working in the sun for 9 hours straight, you're literally that fucked that if you got kids waiting for you at home and you haven't had a good sleep, it doesn't even matter if you need to get some KFC at work or you need to get a couple of beers to get through the day. Like, people just don't even understand how fucking hard some guys work. Like, you work till your hands bleed sometimes. Like, literally, like, you work till your hands bleed sometimes. And I think, like, I'm pretty understanding, and I've had times where my routine trying to eat healthy and trying to do good at work, I actually reckon is more unhealthy because I'm like, it's almost like you're trying to resist the flow of nature. Like sometimes it's
hmm.
better off to just not go to the gym, not eat healthy, and just go straight to bed and, wake up and smash a pie on the way to work. Like there's, it's so hard to judge. But there's definitely occasions where the job's going to get the better of you. And like my brother's got 4 young kids under the age of 8. He's a full-time concreter. Like it's no joke, man. It's it's proper life. Like it's proper work.
Yeah,
So
for sure. It's the hard yakka. It's what men. It's like a lot of what men do, you know.
yeah,
And like fuck, I was doing laboring for a while and it's fucked. I hated it. But you get up and you just do it.
yeah.
You get it done. Um,
There is something mentally freeing though, like when all your options are removed and you're just at work with the boys and you're just working and you're just using your body, it is at the same time like freeing. Like I do resent in a way the online work where I do feel like online space it's just like a bunch of manipulating people where you're trying to like share something that's going to catch someone's ear so that potentially you can sell one of your programs. And it's like a lot of the time I don't really feel like going on Instagram or talking, and a lot of the stuff that I talk about I don't even care about anymore. Like I've it's past me. Like I'm at a stage now where I'm kind of like I don't give a fuck about like all these deep spiritual things anymore. I just want to watch the footy, have
yeah.
my dinner, go for a coffee with my wife and the dogs and kick it. But I recognize that there's, a whole herd of men who are a few years behind me on that journey, and what I'm talking about is a big deal to them now. So it's like, yeah, I honestly love the days concreting. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes they're easier for me, easier on my mind.
Like, yeah, that's the other part that I was going to add is like sometimes hard labor is actually like you kind of said it, it's freeing because you don't have to. It's not like you don't have to think. It's that you're more present. You're just with whatever's in front of you. You're doing it,
Yeah.
and if you're with a good crew of people, and that was my blessing when I was doing laboring with my mates. It was like I was with some good lads, so the
Yeah.
culture was already good. And
Yeah.
but like what you just said there, where you when you don't want to do something, that's usually the signal that you probably got to do it because it's like there's just parts of you that are like fuck that because I feel like I'm in the same boat. I fucking hate showing up online. You try to
Yeah.
sell shit, and then but then you got people going, "Hey man, like can you do a video about this? You're really good at talking. Like you're really." I think we're very similar in a sense where we can articulate things.
Yeah.
in a more succinct way for people, more simply go, oh, here you go, sort of thing. And there
Yeah.
is that lack of men that have lived life like you've been a tradie. I did like the trades and then the military, and then back into the trades and the factory shit, and then fucking whatever the fuck I'm doing now. And but that's different to what's occurring today, where you've got these 20-year-olds that are jumping straight into trying to be a coach, or they're just trying to jump onto the online space and they haven't really lived through what our forefathers lived through, or
Mm.
the
Yeah.
generation before, where so there's a huge gap of lived experience. Um,
Yeah.
I would go to say, anyway, that's my
I
opinion, but
think yeah, I fully agree with that. I do think though, like when you're amongst like other men who have lived like real life, other men know, you just know.
mm,
Like you can't you can't fake it amongst, men who have lived life and done the hard yards. There's no hiding. I do think like people can tell in the way you speak, they can tell in the way you act. Like there's such a presence about someone who's got lived experience, and that's why I think even though there's a lot of like male type of coaches or people who give advice on how to live life, even though there's a lot of them, there's not a lot of people making money from it.
no, of course not. I think that
Yeah,
comes back
so
down to the authenticity piece, and there's also the market's so saturated now with
yeah.
something I've been sitting with is like as a lot of men these days lack attunement and sensitivity.
Mm,
Um, and I would go to say it's largely because um, they associate it with being feeling based, whereas you're always
mm,
feeling. Feeling's
yeah,
always happening. It's never not
yeah.
happening. It's just about increasing the connection to sensitivity and attunement. And I think that's what like how you come online and then most people are so numbed out because they're doing things that aren't good for them that just
Mm,
keep them disconnected and keep them fucked. But
yeah. Yeah, man. I think yeah, as you get older, every year that passes, you learn not to like buy into what you're feeling too much. Like we all have feelings. I just see now some days I'm not feeling it, some days I'm feeling it, but I don't get too attached to them anymore because I know it changes from day to day and it's too exhausting to
yeah.
go along with how you're feeling all the time. Bit of surrender in there and just fuck it. I'm a bit low today and I'm feeling good today.
Mm.
I like to live by the saying, like, it's never as good as it seems. It's never as bad as it seems. It's always just, it's all good.
It's all good.
Yeah.
There's an isness to just life, isn't there? It just is.
Yeah.
That was one of the big lessons I got from going to prison. It was like
Yeah.
you was thrusted into prison for a year, and it's just you had to do that. You either
Yeah.
accept it or you don't. And it was those moments where it's fucking super unpleasant. But then I had some
Yeah.
super pleasant moments, and then completely neutral.
Yeah.
And it's just what it
Yeah.
is, right?
Going to
Uh,
prison would definitely be one of those ultimate surrender moments where, like, you may as well get used to it for the time being and just enjoy passing the time or, using your energy to resist something that's not going to change. Um,
yeah,
yeah.
totally. That kind of
Yeah.
leads me into the next sort of thing that I wanted to touch on. So obviously we're both about to have a child,
Mm,
except I'm on one end of the spectrum and you're at the start. So it's like
yeah.
you're just about to become a father. It's just like so frothing for you, bro. It's like so good. And then I'm about to have my fourth. And, you know, I remember my first one, and this kind of goes into like resistance and surrender. Like there's a surrendering to the unfoldment of that experience. I remember my first one was really good at that. I was like, yes, can't fucking wait. I was very ready for it. And then this one, there's been resistance, obviously, because I've
Mm,
already got three. There's four. The world's pretty fucking gnarly, and we homeschool, so there's a lot of circumstances like this is going to get intense, right? But so I'm having to lean into faith, lean into surrender
Yeah.
because it's happening. I can't, it's just
Yeah.
it's a blessing. It doesn't mean that the other stuff's not happening. However, I'd love to hear about like I really admire. I can feel. It's funny because I already knew you were having a kid just intuitively before you posted
Yeah.
it. I don't
Wow.
know why. I just had this ping. And it was one day I was be like, "Oh mate, I feel like a baby's coming for you soon." And it was like 3 days later, you like released it, and I was like, "Oh my God, what the
Mm,
fuck?" And I had this little moment. But the way you've orientated to approaching fatherhood is really it's powerful, and it inspires me. Because my first
mm,
time was fucked. It wasn't like that at all. I was accepting of it, but I was still very
mm,
much, I was still using drugs. I was still doing a lot of immature shit. So I'm just curious, like, how has that been for you applying
mm,
all of these things, I guess, that you've about life that you've understood, through the Bible and through the universal laws, applying to that, just your
mm.
approach to fatherhood.
Um, yeah, man. Yeah, I think like for someone like yourself, just to like tune in on what you said about your experience. You've probably had kids a lot younger than me. I probably would have been in the had the exact same feelings if I was, the age you were when I had kids. I don't think like I've like taken it any better than any man. I just believe that like I'm almost 38. So I just think by the time you are 38, you've had enough time on your own to kind of work out where you're going. And when you realize a child's coming along, your body and your mind have caught up to a similar place where you go like, this is where I'm meant to be. But I couldn't imagine like having a kid in my mid 20s and being able to almost like accept that as my reality. I definitely think I would have had a lot of resistance, and obviously I would have done it and I would have loved it. But getting thrust into that level of responsibility while you're still trying to just work out where you are, who you are, and what's going on, that's a lot to take in. And, maybe God didn't place that over my life because maybe He knew that that wasn't my time. And
Mm,
I definitely believe the baby chooses the family and the soul chooses the perfect time to come in. And obviously, like yourself, and the children are blessings from God, but I do believe that the children can come in and potentially save your life. They can save your marriage. They can keep a family together, and sometimes it does the other thing. It tears families apart. But I think when young guys take on the responsibility of kids and don't abort them and just fucking take life by the balls when they've got no idea, I really commend young guys who don't have it all together and just do their best. That's epic. So good on you for, I guess, taking responsibility when you weren't ready. You can't expect much else than that. Um, in regards to me, I wouldn't say I've applied any of the stuff that I talk about online to having my baby. I think for me, like with my dogs, um, like they're like my babies. They sleep with me. I take them everywhere. Um, I make them organic food. I just spoil them, and that comes from like a place beyond like study or like understanding. That just comes from my heart, and I think when I do have my child, I think I'm having a boy. I'm not sure, but
mhm,
I think when I do have my child, I would like to just live from that place of no mind, like just like be in my heart space. And obviously, as a man, we know that, you know, there's certain ways to carry ourselves and how we need to handle ourselves in front of our wives and our children and our communities and stuff like that. But I feel like all that stuff is like just going to be integrated into the reality of my baby naturally, and
Mhm.
I'm just excited just to like just give back. Like, the most enjoyment I get on the beach is just watching my little dogs run around and going for a swim. And I couldn't imagine, watching my kid ride a bike, or, taking them to the movies and getting them like all the chocolates and the popcorn, and, just taking them to just do fun shit. Like I'm I'm just pumped for that, man. I feel like I'm gonna relive a bit of my childhood with my kids, so I'm excited for that.
Oh, so good, bro. And there's like you've hit the nail on the head there around a few things. Each child comes with blessings, but lessons, was it blessings and lessons? And
Mm,
it's just like, there's something so beautiful about living. It's not like you're living your life again, the child, but they're able to touch points of you that you wouldn't otherwise be able to access without having your own kids, I think. And that's what I've learned anyway
mm.
over the course, especially with my son. That was the big one, having my son
Oh
really
yeah, they definitely open. They're definitely here to, they're here to break generational things. So they'll probably break you in a way, and they'll highlight
no, they
all your
fucking do.
dysfunctions. And yeah, man,
Oh,
yeah,
massively.
I'm prepared as best I can, but I'm sure when I'm in it, I'll be like a fish out of water. So I'll have to learn
I
as I
was saying
go.
that, so I had someone ask me, like, "Oh, are you feeling prepared and ready?" And I'm like, "Mate, this is my fourth kid. I'm gonna be honest. I don't even think there's a prepared and ready. It's just like I don't know what
Yeah,
it's gonna be like until this baby's side." And that's been the
yeah,
case since the second, because the first one I thought I had it, just like, yeah, I've got this. I'm gonna smash this. Then I was smashed. I was just like, holy shit, like fish out of
yeah,
water. So it's a good. I think like
yeah,
the
man.
orientation you're holding it's very open to all the possibilities that you'll get to experience. But as well as like being an uncle, like you've got to live through your brothers as well, which is also
Yeah,
like, that's also really amazing because you've already got to
yeah,
um, be a role model in some sense to your own family, your own blood, which is it's just so
yeah.
awesome. And you know, a question. I've been sitting with this for a while, and you did a few videos recently about like the king, the lover, those
The
four
magician.
archetypes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
magician and the warrior.
And yeah, magician, warrior, lover. Yeah, that's the one. And I've been talking to he's a mentor turned friend. We did a couple episodes together, and he's got a son. And we're talking about the father archetype and how we've been talking as that you can embody the father archetype before you have kids. Like it's possible to father reality or father those around you. And we've been
Mm,
having a discussion that maybe the father is the center of the four archetypes that doesn't govern, because I think the king ultimately governs, but the father is almost like the source of all of them. As without a father, we wouldn't be here. With a mother or father, we wouldn't be here. I'm curious to open this dialogue with you because you study the Bible. Um, I haven't studied the Bible for a long time because I've got smashed, indoctrinated. So I'm a bit resistant to going back just
yeah.
yet. Study everything esoteric Christianity and around it. And I'm like starting to lean into it now. But I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are because as you're speaking there, I could really feel that father archetype in you, already sort of a structure there. And
Mm,
I have a sense that it's because of your faith and your willingness to study God and the Bible that this
mm,
connection, it's like the king goes to the priest so the priest can talk to the All Father, and then if the
mm,
king is needing help or support and feeling like, oh, what do I do with my kingdom? The
Mm,
king goes to his father or the priest.
mm,
So there's just
yeah.
something I've been curious with this piece here.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, I haven't honestly, I haven't, I haven't thought about it that deeply. I don't even see the father as an archetype. I just more see the father as part of the process. Like, unless a man lives a very unconventional life and doesn't have children, um, which is an extremely, I guess, untraveled path, because most men desire to have children, and they do have children. Like, I haven't met any man 80 years old who's never have kids. I'm sure they're out there, but I see fatherhood as like being on the path to becoming the king. And when you do imagine a king, I always imagine a king with like a kingdom, which is like a queen and children and
mm,
and soldiers. And I guess in a way, like the whole king archetype is, it's just I see it as being a father as being service based. So like everything's about like provision and longevity and continuation of the kingdom. So I think like that father energy blended with king energy is like your whole driving force behind your life is to kind of leave the place better than you found it. Like,
mhm,
leaving the family with money, continuing your legacy, continuing the family business, having as many children as possible to grow the family name. I don't think men think like that as much anymore. Um, but I think back in the day, big families,
mhm,
equaled like financial stability and empires and wealth and safety, whereas now we don't live like that. We don't live in those, those big communities built by, big families and big rolling family businesses. We tend to, get 18 and move out, and the family splits apart. You get a mortgage, brother gets a mortgage, other brother gets a mortgage, and we all live in our own little private little kingdoms.
mm.
Um, which I don't necessarily think is conducive to, happy communities. But that's the way it is. And I'm
Just the
doing
way
that
it
too.
is.
So
Yeah, I
yeah.
know. I've thought
Yeah, I
about that. I
can't.
think like the Muslims have got it right. Living under living under
Yeah.
one roof and creating that sort of community like orientation. But it's sort of like men are struggling at the moment. I think there's a lack of,
Mm,
well, one, there's a lack of initiation. Two, there's like you've got like pleasure at your fingertips, basically. You've got all the desire at the fingertips. Whereas, when we
yeah.
grew up, it was different. Like, what I mean? Like you had to, it was harder to get that. The thing that I had was, it was a Game Boy. That was probably the thing that mostly I had, or a PlayStation or something where, but even still, like
Mm,
I'd spend most of my afternoon as a kid up in the bush, in the street, kicking the footy, doing all these things. And that's how I'm trying to raise my children at the moment because it's like, I think it's fucking important.
mm,
Like, what would you say is one of the biggest struggles right now men face, um,
uh,
that are steering
I'd
them
say
away from?
from me personally, I'll speak on behalf of myself. It's just phones, just distraction.
Mm,
Like
mm.
distraction, man. Like I was the same. I remember getting a new footy, I'd sleep with it. Like, it'd be in the bed. Like,
Yeah.
if I got a new bike, I'd put it in my room for the first 6 months. Like, simple things, really good. And even, back when I dated my first girlfriend, you used to ring the home phone. And if you wanted to have a conversation, like, you rang the home phone. And, never had credit on the mobile. So it was kind of just something that sat in my pocket as a way for mum to call me, to
Mm,
see where I was at. But I just think phones, man. I think distraction, and like you said, pleasure at the fingertips. It's like I don't know, everything just comes so fucking fast and it makes you so lazy. Like, I don't know. I think it's a good thing that young guys are talking about how much money they want to make, but I remember back in the day I'd get like 120 bucks a day to concrete and I'd bust my ass and at the end of the week I'd have like, 600 bucks or something like that and I thought I was balling and I was happy with that. And yeah, like simple things. Like I was a very simple young dude, like very simple. And I see, like, I didn't even know what depression or anxiety or fucking, addictions were. I don't think many people had them, but like now I've got so many young guys who reach out to me and like at 18, they're already living in their head. It's like you should be like in Byron
Yeah.
Bay sleeping on a paddock with a pillow, just scraping by, and like just just I don't understand how men have just gotten so caught up in their heads. Like that to me is the saddest thing. Like they're in the prime of their life and they're filled with complexes about success and women and confidence when it's like you don't need to be confident at 18. You don't need to have your life worked out. You don't need to like have this bulletproof game plan. But I think, you know, the problem with our society is there's just so much information out there. And when you're a young person, too much information turns on you. Like it's good to be informed, don't get
Hmm.
me wrong, but too much information can really overload the system. And you got, you know, young guys, instead of just going to the gym and just, pumping some weights 3 times a week, they're talking about doing peptides and they're talking about
Hmm.
like, maximizing gains and counting macros. Like the simplicity of being a man, it's fucked. It's
Yeah,
they're not men
it's
anymore. They're just fucking walking head cases.
yeah, man. It's really sad because I've also observed this the simplicity is gone, is disappearing. It's like you wake up and you
Yeah.
just just get on with life. You don't need to do a fucking 5,000 things before 7 in the morning to get your day ready.
Yeah.
You got your few things that is part of your sort of morning routine, and then you get on with it. But you sort of said a good point there. Is like people are becoming they're getting indigestion from too much information and getting
Mm.
constipated
Oh, way too much.
and it's just locking them up, and it's like a disease has been created to keep men from just living how they're meant to live, which is simply just go lift some heavy shit or go hit the bag, especially when you're young, when you're 18, 19. I remember what I was doing is just like, obviously I joined the military at 19, but I still remember it's like running, fucking lifting, loving the beach, hanging out with mates. You didn't have social media. You had a phone where someone could ring you, whatever. It was very different. So like these things are like probably one of, if not one of the biggest traps of accessing
They're a bio weapon, man. Like they're a
100%.
literal bio weapon. They're psychological fucking warfare. Like I looked at my phone last night because I had a really late coffee. And I was like, oh, they ran out of decaf, so I got a fucking full strength long black, ice long black, and I was up till 2 in the morning, and I was just going from app to app to app to app, and I felt like disgusted in myself, and I'm like, man, I'm pretty good with like discipline. I've never been, abused any substances or bad food or anything, but the phone, it can get the best of people. It gets old people, it gets middle-aged people, it gets young people, it gets babies. It is like the most perfectly designed mechanism, and it understands how we think and what we get off on so well that it will keep feeding the never-ending cycle of pleasure, and to the point that like the phone's not enough, then you're watching the TV and looking at your phone. And then, I
Yeah.
find myself watching the
Yeah.
footy sometimes and then, looking at my phone and looking up at the footy. And it's just like, it's terrible, man. And I also
So what
think
would you
the other side.
say? No, you go. Sorry, you go. Go.
No, I was saying the other side to this like level of distraction with men is like you don't get bored and angry enough to go and make shit happen. Like when I was young, it was like, I used to do up cars. So I'd like work all week or a month and I'd go buy a car part and then you can't afford to pay someone to do it. So you and your mate, you're just in the garage punching shit because you're so
Fucking winging
angry
it.
because like, yeah, you can't get away from stuff, and that boredom drives action and curiosity, and like it drives those hunting like instincts. Like you're hungry for pleasure, you're hungry for entertainment, so you get in your car or you jump on your bike and you go do bad shit because you want to feel like connected to like that again. And I actually just
Mhm.
think like men don't do enough. Like, I'm not talking about being a bad person, but like they don't like go do burnouts anymore. They don't go, we used to blow
No.
shit up, go do
Yeah.
burnouts. Like we used to, just you go do stuff to fill in time, and that like boredom just can fuel some like mischief. But it's like no one's doing any of that good mischief. They're just at home watching porn or playing games or like just doing really lame stuff. Um, and I'm so happy, man, that I haven't grown up in this generation. Like I feel blessed.
Oh my God. I was thinking that the other day, man. I was like, fuck, I feel blessed to have had like that, doing burnouts and blowing the old sparkler bomb, making a fucking sparkler bomb and blowing up someone's letterbox or something because you're bored at night with your mates
Yeah.
and just doing weird shit like that. Like the kids these days are flying around on e-bikes. They're not even riding a bike. I remember when I had a bike and it was like my mate would be like, "Oh, can you meet me?" And I'm like, "Fuck, man, it's like 15-kilometer ride." And you just do it. You'd cop it, and it'd fucking take you 3 hours or 2, 3 hours because you'd stop and whatever, and you're 13, but you do it. You get it done. Now it's like you see these kids, they're flying from one place to the next on these e-bikes, where it's like there's a level of stimulation that's occurring that it's putting their baseline so high that when nothing's happening, they don't know what to do with themselves, and then they go into the
Well, again,
phone.
it's easy. Like you don't even have to pedal. Like
Mm.
it's another thing. It's like an instant war. Like everything's just easy. Like yeah, we never had e-bikes. I remember, like, if one of us had a motorbike, that'd just be like,
They'd be the
that you'd
guy.
be like God. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, to wrap up that question, like, I just think man's biggest enemy right now is distraction and it's phones. Like, I reckon if all of us turned off our phone, like a lot of the problems going on in our mind would disappear at the rate we turned off our phones.
Oh, 100%. And what would you say is the antidote to this other than turning it off? What would you say is a good solution for young men, or not even young men because it affects everyone, but what would you say you could do or put
Oh
in
man, you got to
place?
get it. You got to get obsessed with shit. Like you got to pick up something like tinker with cars, get into boxing, get into surfing, like get into your footy, get into training, like just whatever you're into. If you're fucking like building, trains or collecting stamps, just like whatever you're into, just like geek out on it and just get like right into it and get good at something. Like just follow your passion, like, and it doesn't even have to correlate to money. But I reckon, it's like there used to be hobby shops. I remember there used to be like
Yeah, I
shops
remember.
just for
Yeah.
people's hobbies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you used to go there
I
on the
used to do the
weekend
little
or whatever you're
building.
into.
Yeah, I used to do little building. Like I used to make the little model tanks and little things. I used to fucking froth on it. And it's like I think
Yeah,
that word you said, geek out, fucking that's it. It's just like geek out
yeah.
and get obsessed over something that is not related to money and not related to Like for me, it's weird. I geek out on meditation. I fucking love meditation, and I don't teach it. I don't, but I want to understand what the
This is
fuck
what
is
happens.
meditation.
Everyone gets obsessed with productivity, with making finance, with e-commerce, with, all these, big things. But what they don't understand is, like, they're going after the method without the thing to put the method into. Like, you have to be obsessed with something and good at something to actually apply productivity, to apply business, to apply e-commerce, to apply personal growth. It's like everyone is obsessed and they live in the conceptual phase of everything. It's like you got all these young guys talking about e-commerce, productivity, how to own the day, getting up at 4 a.m. But it's like, for what? Like, how's this being applied to, like, your craft? And no one has a craft. It's just like we're all living in the conceptual phase. Like, why get up at 4 a.m. in the morning if you're not, like, getting up at 4 a.m. to, like, build your insane business, like, that you love, that you developed through your hobby or through your interest. It's
Mhm.
like, there's a lot of revving in neutral. That's what I feel. And a lot of men are there. They're stuck there. They're revving in neutral. There's all the idea, there's all the energy, but there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to put it into because they're not geeking out. They're not obsessed with one thing to channel that into and just, like, make it into something.
Yeah, I love being neutral. It's like that's spot on. It's
Mm.
the best way to describe it is they've got this absolutely souped out car, 1,000 horsepower, and they got
Mm.
it in neutral, and they're just like, "Whoa." They're not doing anything, right? And something that I've come to
Yeah.
recognize is your interest, what you're interested in is very much linked into purpose and legacy. And it's like from the
Mm.
Buddhist perspective, it is part of your dharma, is that, your karma turns into dharma, but it's sort of like it's through the interests that you've had throughout your life. It's in that reflection. So you got these people, these kids, 18, 20, they haven't really lived, or they've just been fucking playing Fortnite for fucking 6 years, and now they want to go into e-commerce. Kind of what you're saying is like, people really, really look at it as like, look at the interests that you've had throughout your life and how has that changed shape and form. But you can usually
Yeah.
find a common thread that sort of links into a
Mm.
purposeful way of
Yeah. I
way of
definitely
being.
believe that, like, yeah,
Mm.
I definitely believe that if you love something and you just keep doing it for long enough, and, like Arnold Schwarzenegger says, do the work and show the work. I reckon if you just keep sharing what you're interested in and just doing it because you love it, it always turns into you getting paid. Always.
Yeah, 100%. That's one of the reasons
But
why I
where
started this
people get stuck
conversation
is,
thing.
that's
Is I love
good.
having conversations. Like, so
Good.
throughout my whole life, I've just been a fucking talker and talking to random people.
Mm,
Most of my parents have brought this awareness to me. They'd be like, well, we're flying from Scotland to Australia. I was 7 years old, and apparently the whole 24-hour flight was my mum with three boys. She just said I was just talking to everyone. This like country Scottish boy. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, you were
yeah,
just
that's
running up and
epic.
down the plane, talking to this person, having conversations. And then it didn't dawn on me until recently. I was like, oh, something about conversations. Because that's my wife always tells me to, if I'm going to the shopping center, she's just like, can you just go in, get the thing, and come out? Because I always end up talking to some random person about everything or
That's the
nothing.
best.
And I
My
think
dad's
like,
like that.
yeah, yeah. But I think it's important, like these things that like I can feel in you, in your presence, this simplicity. It's very there, it's very here in a
Mm,
very wise and powerful way, right?
yeah, thanks.
And that's missing in the world. It's missing in the
Mm,
world. It's just so it's everyone wants to make things too complex or too abstract or what did you say? Like too they're fucking um, stuffing their head with a million concepts.
Yeah, life's
and don't
pretty.
understand any of them.
I feel like there's so many different ways to look at like the purpose of life. I honestly, I don't know what the purpose of life is anymore. I believe that the human body is. I do believe that we were meant to live forever, and I do believe that there's so much spare memory in all of our cells, and I don't believe that we even comprehend the power of our mind. I believe the technology, in ancient civilizations and the things that
Mm,
men and women have tapped into in the past, I believe we're living in like a little bit of a shadow of what we could be. So when we talk about like purpose and things like this and what we're interested in, I think we're so unbelievably far from our potential that we're still trying to just come back to learning to live basically. So things like, eating well, raising families, gardening, working hard, simple pleasures like good wine and good food and pizza and stuff like that. These are all amazing. And that's where I'm at in life. But
mhm,
I do believe that as we increase our capacity and become spiritual beings, I do believe there's like a way, way, way deeper reason as to why we're here. And I think we've all forgotten why we're here, and
mhm,
everyone's just trying to make sense of it. But the hard thing is whenever like we talk on like what's right or wrong, I always think that like I could give someone advice around purpose or around what it is to be a man, but I can only give them advice on this broken system, on how you can get through it. But I can't give anyone any advice worthwhile on like the potential of who we are. So how to show up in like man's highest form, because I
mhm,
don't know what the highest form of us looks like. I know
mm,
what like an extremely basic form of man looks like, but I think we've fallen so far. The fact that like the food we eat is not real, the water we drink is poisoned, the way we live our life, the way we look at our screens, we're literally like grown people trying to learn just to live as cavemen again because we're so technologically advanced yet so miserable and so retarded in other ways that like we are calling normal food organic. We are calling, normal milk unpasteurized, unhomogenized. We're calling just walking on the ground grounding. Like that's how far we've fallen from the baseline of like humanity. So like all the stuff we talk about and all the concepts that we understand, they are all true, I do believe, but like we're still just like not even hitting the tip of the iceberg of human potential. Um, and I almost feel like our generation is like we're just kind of like surviving, man. We're just like, yeah, we're just trying to survive. I think we're on the way to finding a few things out, but we're not there yet.
yeah, man, that thread of conversation that you've just shared is that's a big one because I've been on that same thought process around what is the human potential? How is it
Mm,
accomplished? Where does it stem from? Like, when you start to study some of the 1900 philosophers and how they transmit, it's crazy, man. Like, like Steiner and Gurdjieff and Omram Mikhailov and some of these esoteric occult people, Franz Barden, and then you go back further and you're like, when you can actually, like what you're doing with the Bible is reading beyond just not just reading the words, but reading beyond it and getting these deeper meanings into it. It's like
mm,
the potential we have is I don't, crazy. Like, a lot of people, there's probably a lot of individuals in the East that are probably doing it. They just don't have Instagram and social media because it's just they don't give a fuck. And you know, it was pretty funny what you said there. Is like I've thought that about organic food. I've said to people like, when you were a kid, there was no such thing as organic food. You just had a broccoli. There's not like a
Mm,
broccoli and organic broccoli. It's just broccoli and
mm,
banana. And
mm.
you didn't have the alternate. Oh, my mum's buying the organic bananas at school. I didn't hear
Yeah,
that shit. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I remember
yeah,
growing up in Scotland and we'd have milk come to the door and it was straight from the fucking cow because that's just what they do on the
yeah.
farms. And
That's the best.
that's how far it's the best, bro. Raw milk is the fucking
Yeah,
best. It's like that's what healed my gut. My gut was
yeah.
fucked. Introduced raw milk. Within
Mm,
about 3 months, my gut completely sorted itself out, right?
mm.
Um, but sort of like,
Yeah, man.
touching on, I think for men or young men is to open up the possibility for the whispers of potential. Or the like
Mm,
so someone said something, I read something the other day, it's like if there is a whisper, if there's even a whisper of enlightenment or awakening or whatever type like words you want to shove in there,
mm,
then that you have that potential in this life or the next or the next or the next. And I think
mm.
that
Yeah,
is
I agree.
to be held on to preciously. Okay. And
You
just,
don't get those
I think
whispers
you've,
though when you're on your phone.
no, no, you don't. And I think that's like a really good point is like, this is I guess in some sense, here we are
Yeah, you
doing
don't.
this on the screens, and then I'm going to post it, and people are going to receive it through the phone. So if you hear this, put your phone down. No, it's like,
Yeah, man. Yeah, you don't
it's
need to.
yeah.
Yeah, you don't like. Yeah, whenever I work with someone who's a little bit I guess caught up in the systematic way of how they think life should go and stuff. I think simplicity is always the way. Just walk more, get off your phone, say a prayer about things, express your concerns, enjoy some good food, and whatever the spiritual stuff is often met in the most simple form. So yeah, I don't think like you're gonna have your deepest spiritual experience in a sound bath or a yoga or a meditation. Sometimes the deepest things come to me just just walking the dog or sitting on the couch, or I find my best state of thoughts to contemplate life like when I'm building things, like if I'm doing a deck,
Mhm.
or you know I'm pouring a slab or something like that. You just kind of look back at life a bit contemplative, and some spiritual gems just hit you.
What do you
But
think that
yeah, it is
is?
ironic.
What do you think that is about doing these simple? Because I have the same thing happen if I'm doing a big, I don't know why, a big one for me is when I'm doing the washing. So one of my chores of the house,
It's
I'll
just a
just
state
hang
of
out the
no
washing.
mind.
Yeah.
It's because
And
you're
it
in a
creates a
state of no
stream.
mind. Yeah, like I don't believe thoughts are in our brain. I believe thoughts are here. Thoughts are not
Mm.
localized to people. That's why quite often people have the same idea on the same day. And I believe thoughts are kind of floating around in the ether, and you know, thoughts are potentials, and thoughts find the person who vibrates closest to the match of the possibility. So the thought just lands on the person that closest matches its reality. So when you are in those states of peace and no mind, where you're just doing something monotonous, you're actually very vibrationally connected to spirituality, which is just peace, which is just presence. So when
Mhm.
you are in those states, more often than not, and that's why it's pretty funny that you get some girl from Byron Bay doing a workshop on Kundalini and presence and manifestation and spirituality, and she's an absolute mess with toxic relationships, and you have a man who is in the middle of Western Queensland, just you know on a pair of secateurs all day farming in complete peace, and he wouldn't even whisper the word spirituality. But his whole being is pure peace. It's pure
Mm.
spirit. It's like pure connected. That there's no resistance to his life. So spirituality's become more of a concept. It's become more of a concept. It's become more of a look, more of a trend than an actual thing. And for me, I I think I've portrayed myself as a spiritual person in the past. You know, I had all
Mhm.
the little tattoos and I know all the buzzwords and all that, but the reality is I don't have that peace like that farmer, like that, basic worker. So I'm now dismantling all that bullshit and, you know, I understand that spiritualities, it's not words, it's not clothing, it's not tattoos, it's not workshops, it's literally how well you can just sit with life in a state of
Mhm.
ease. And to me, that is spirituality, because God is ease, God is love, God is source. There's no resistance, there's no lack, there's no
Mhm.
sadness, there's nothing. When you're working with God, it's like it is what it is, like you're always in pure peace. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think the next chapter is people learning what spirituality feels like, not what it looks like. And I think the
Mhm.
next spiritual teachers of our generation are gonna show people what it feels like through their presence. They're not gonna tell them what it looks like,
Yeah.
because
It's like a quality,
spiritual.
the quality to
Yeah, that's
which,
what it
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah. I think you've,
Spirituality or a spiritual experience can only be experienced.
yeah, and you said it really beautifully before, where some of the most spiritual experiences you can have has nothing to do with what people say spirituality is. Like walking your dog, eating a piece of
Yeah.
pizza. Like I feel like I had a spiritual experience the other day having a double fucking cheeseburger and a beer because it was the best cheeseburger I've eaten in fucking forever. And I was just so present with every fucking bite. And it was like, it was the wildest
Mm,
experience. And, I haven't had that in a long time because I've been craving a cheeseburger for fucking 5 months and finally found it, right? But in that moment, in
yeah.
this sort of experience of being fully here now with this burger and a beer,
Mm,
there's something about it. There was a
yeah,
suchness to
man.
it. And I left
Yeah.
feeling so fulfilled. One beer,
Mm.
fucking double cheeseburger. And then just something about it. I felt
No, that's
so
the best, man.
um
Yeah. I
but yeah, I
think
think you
that's what life is being present with wherever you are. If you can get to that level of, being a Jedi master where you're constantly your mind and body are in the same place, that's the goal.
that is the goal. The mind. I'm not gonna go into that one. Fuck. Anyway, I think we've pretty much hit everything. I think you've hit the nail on the head absolutely with spirituality and with the way in which it's gone, especially online. It's just been thrown into a fucking tumble dryer, and now it just looks like a bunch of different things. And I think the new wave
Mm,
is going to be people teaching the actual qualities of it. What are the qualities and the feeling and the state? Well, I wouldn't even say the state, but you know what I mean. Like there's an orientation of your being.
mm,
It's not what there's no
yeah.
look about it, and I think
Yeah. Spirituality is, you know, it generally manifests with peaceful families, with peaceful children, with prosperous businesses, with, you know, physical health. I believe, godliness is next to cleanliness, godliness is next to wealth. I think whenever we're suffering a lack of anything in our life, it's a separation from God, um, because God is always the source. So when you're separated from source, there's lack, and if you've got lack in anywhere in your life, it just means you're separated from God. in
Hmm.
and we all are in areas, and
Of course.
that's why I always teach, keep seeking first the kingdom. I think when you keep seeking first the kingdom within and that relationship with God, there's no lack in your life. Everything's taken care of.
Yeah, I completely agree. I remember when feel like I reconnected with God. I got brought up Catholic Christian from day dot,
Yeah,
and I kind of
yeah,
went atheist probably 18-ish, 19 because of my ex taking on beliefs that weren't mine. Stopped praying,
yeah.
stopped the whole thing, right? And then it was the day I went to prison. No, I wouldn't that wasn't the day. It was the when I tried to commit suicide, and my now wife stopped me. She didn't know she was stopping me. She just happened to call me
Wow.
when I was on the cliff, and it happened twice in a week. The same sort of experience because I was just like done, and that's when I got it. That was when I sort of was like, oh fuck, I've got something. I'm supposed to be alive. But then it wasn't until I was in prison, and I shit you not, man, I was sitting there and there was a fucking I'd just been carted to Silverwater. I'm sitting there and I'm like freshly shaved face, blonde surf fringe, looking about fucking 16 years old. I was 25, looking like a baby, and there's like a Asian dude wigging out because he's got drugs up his ass. You've got one dude looking like he's having an overdose in the corner, and then some meth Aboriginal dude on meth just like tweaking out. I'm sitting there like, fuck's going on?
What am I
And
here
then it
for?
was like this cone of light came around me, bro. I shit you not, this cone of light. And it was I'm getting goosebumps thinking
Wow.
about it. And it was I heard the words, and I didn't click it to be in God at this time, but it was like, trust in me, and this will be the most positive experience of your life. And that was before I even got in,
Wow.
and I did. There was, I just trusted in I just sort of started to go into this trust, and that was sort of the first experience of my reorientation back to faith in God. And since then
Wow.
I've just been, there's been moments where I haven't, and there's been doubt and uncertainty of like, where the fuck's my life going, even with having like heaps of kids and all the different things going on. And
Yeah,
what you
wow,
shared, that,
man. That's huge.
yeah, it was a huge, well, I call it, it was like God slapped me because I wasn't listening. So going to prison was like
Yeah, man.
the backhand from the father. Consequences, if
Yeah, bro.
actions are consequential, I wasn't listening.
Yeah. It's
And it was like, I was like, okay,
yeah,
bud.
life always gives us opportunities.
Yeah, something you said ages ago
Life,
where it's sort of like, yeah, life will give you the circumstances and opportunities to either grow through it or not.
yeah. Yeah, I do believe that life just presents us with the perfect set of circumstances to transcend the lesson
Hmm.
that we need in order to evolve as a human. So, you know, they suck, but no one ever really curses a lesson once they've gone through it and seen the positive from it. I always believe, like, if something bad happens to you, it's only a matter of time before you see it as something good. But until you notice it and until you witness it as being something good, it still sucks. But,
Hmm.
you know, that doesn't take away the fact that it's only time separating you from understanding why it was good. And in due time, everything's
Hmm.
revealed.
It is. It's like a
Yeah.
latency, a latency, isn't there, before things that recognition
Yeah,
and
spot on,
knowing
man.
occurs. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
bro. Yeah,
awesome,
spot
man.
on.
I've really enjoyed this conversation, bro. If there was
Thanks, bro.
f few last things you'd want to share to any young men listening, or just men in general listening to this, what
Yeah,
would you say to them?
I would say pray and don't ask God for what you want, but ask God for what He wants for you. And then I would get out of your head and follow your intuition and never doubt it, because it's always spot on. And if you can connect your prayers to the intuitive feelings that you feel and you follow those intuitive feelings, you'll be working with God. And when you work with God, you never land in the wrong place. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
Beautiful. And that's just that wise simplicity coming through, guys. It's fucking powerful, man. Where can people find you on social
I
media?
have Instagram. My Instagram's Scott D Mcintosh underscore, and I have a website. And my website is called ourdailypurpose.com.
Awesome. I'll get all those off you anyway and chuck them in the description here for YouTube. But it was fucking awesome, man. I really
Thanks,
enjoyed that
brother. It was a
conversation.
pleasure.
You're
Yeah,
a good
bro.
human.
Pleasure to do it.
Fucking good
Thanks,
human.
brother. Thanks for having me.
That's all right, bro. You.